The day the world learned that a princess had cancer, everything we thought we knew about perfection shattered, and nothing about the royal family would ever look the same again. How much strength can a person disguise behind a smile? We've seen polished photographs and glittering crowns, watched flawless waves from palace balconies, but behind that serene composure, what happens when life in all its cruel unpredictability pierces the golden armor? This is the hidden chapter of Princess Catherine, a woman born into ordinariness who now stands at the center of a monarchy under unprecedented strain. For decades, the royal family seemed frozen in time, an emblem of endurance, an anchor in an ever-spinning world. Yet the passing of Queen Elizabeth II dismantled that illusion. Suddenly, a lineage that once felt eternal looked startlingly human. In that fragile silence between grief and duty, Catherine stepped quietly into her place, not as the loudest or boldest figure, but as the most steadfast. Her grace was already legendary, but true grace is tested only in darkness. I remember the footage from her wedding day with almost cinematic clarity. The Abbey's vaulted ceilings, her lace gown gliding down the aisle, William waiting in scarlet. It looked like destiny made visible. But fairy tales never show the long years that follow once the music fades. Catherine learned that royalty demands endurance, days filled with obligation, nights haunted by scrutiny, each misstep magnified beyond proportion. The royal smile became both her shield and her sentence, protecting her from judgment, even as it demanded perfection. She hadn't been raised for this life. Her parents built a company from their kitchen table, instilling in their children firmness and warmth in equal measure. Catherine grew up in laughter, routine, and hard work, the kind of upbringing that quietly forged resilience. When she met William at St. Andrews, the world didn't notice. Two students in jumpers, sharing jokes over textbooks. But for a man who had lived under the relentless echo of cameras since birth, her calm normalcy must have felt like a reprieve. Their friendship turned slowly to devotion, tested in privacy long before they faced the spotlight. No official could choreograph that kind of partnership. Yet the moment the relationship surfaced, it became a global fixation. Her name on headlines, her smile dissected frame by frame. She endured it with quiet stubbornness. Even when labeled Weighty Katie, she never snapped back, never surrendered what she had been taught, to remain still in the middle of a storm. When she finally stepped out of the car on her wedding day, radiance wasn't the miracle. Restraint was. In that moment, Britain fell back in love with the idea of monarchy, not for its power but for its human beauty. Yet every fairy tale beginning conceals the weight of expectation. The nation wanted Diana reborn. Catherine knew the danger of chasing ghosts. So she chose silence over spectacle, steadfastness over speed. True courage, she showed, isn't in rebellion. It's in persistence without applause. Her early years as Duchess were an apprenticeship beneath the world's brightest spotlight. Each speech, each awkward pause, every uncertain smile became fodder for critics. But behind the scenes, she studied relentlessly. Specialists in communication helped her refine her delivery. Charity meetings helped her find purpose. Inch by inch, she grew confident. Her focus on early childhood and mental health turned ceremonial duties into meaningful campaigns. By listening more than she spoke, she carved out her own space, not as an imitator, but as a reformer in soft tones. Motherhood, when it came, changed everything again. When she stepped outside Lindo Wing cradling her firstborn, calm and composed despite exhaustion, it became one of modern monarchy's most iconic images. But behind the polished facade, she was doing what countless new mothers do, trying to hold herself together. For the public, that glimpse of imperfect perfection became strangely comforting. Someone living in castles was still navigating sleepless nights and anxious tenderness. In those moments, she started bridging a gap no royal had fully crossed before, the space between ceremony and authenticity. At home, William and Catherine made choices that startled traditionalists. Fewer nannies, no formal household hierarchies, genuine time spent at school gates. The palace became a home echoing with children's laughter. For years, that domestic normalcy shielded them from hostility. People didn't just admire them, they felt protective of them. Then came the loss that reshaped everything. Queen Elizabeth's passing. The matriarch's departure left not only a crown but a void of guidance, direction, and emotional gravity. At the funeral, Catherine moved like still water, dignified and contained. Beneath the black veil, You could feel the weight of both grief and inheritance. Her calm presence told the nation, "We endure." When King Charles was crowned, she appeared in full ceremonial splendor beside William, wearing Diana's pearls. It was more than tribute, it was unity across generations. Where William embodied continuity, she embodied compassion, the humane counterbalance to grandeur. For a moment, the monarchy seemed newly alive. Yet fate, cruelly unbound by titles, would soon remind the world that crowns can't ward off mortality. In 2024, the public first heard whispers of the king's illness benign, they said, treatable. Weeks later, a darker revelation: cancer. The nation stumbled through anxiety and sympathy, but barely had concern settled before another shock. Catherine, too, hospitalized, then absent, then silent. Days turned to weeks, rumors swelled like tides. Online conspiracy spread faster than compassion. Where had she gone? Why no sighting? Everyone demanded answers. Few remembered she was simply human, healing. And then, one quiet evening, the video. Filmed outdoors on a bench, the wind brushing her hair. No courtly background, no ornate symbol. Just Catherine speaking plainly to a waiting world. She explained her surgery, the discovery of cancer, the shock and fear in telling her children, and the slow acceptance of what lay ahead. She smiled, but it was the tremor behind the smile that broke hearts. Her words were gentle but absolute. She was fighting, with William by her side. That 3-minute confession did what decades of royal myth-making never achieved. It stripped monarchy of its armor. The perfect princess revealed her pain, and in doing so, she found a new kind of sovereignty: authenticity. Around the world, people stopped speaking about palaces and started speaking about compassion. King Charles, undergoing treatment himself, thanked the nation for messages that had moved him to tears. Two royals generations apart, confronting the same illness, it felt Shakespearean yet profoundly real. Suddenly, the Windsors were not distant figures but reflections of every family that has faced a hospital ward and bad news. Still, Catherine's instinct always was to protect her children. Behind closed doors, she and William have balanced legacy with laughter, facing medical charts by day and bedtime by night. The world sees crowns. Their children see only mum and dad. That duality, the impossible merging of extraordinary and ordinary, is her quiet triumph. The once derided weighty Katie has become the monarchy's moral center. Her patience is now its sanctuary. Even through rifts, Harry and Meghan's departure, public doubts about relevance, Catherine's demeanor remained unshakable. Others argued through interviews and memoirs. She remained silent, a silence that began to feel powerful in itself. Continuity became her rebellion. As she recovers, the public's affection deepens into collective empathy. Flowers pile at palace gates. Letters written by children in colorful pen ink say simply, "Get well soon, Princess Kate." In an age of cynicism, that simplicity feels almost sacred. She no longer personifies unattainable perfection. She personifies perseverance. Her battle has become a mirror for millions quietly fighting their own. Look closely now, her smile is different. It's no longer a mask, it's defiance. Every appearance, even rare, carries the invisible echo of everything she's endured. Sleepless nights, fear for her children, that held breath before medical results. She's refined the quiet heroism of enduring in plain sight. The monarchy has weathered wars, abdications, divorces, rebellions. But this era feels different. Survival doesn't rest on grandeur. Ornate crowns can't comfort a grieving public. It depends on humanity, on showing that even behind velvet curtains, hearts still break and heal. Catherine's story is proof. The crown's real strength lies not in opulence, but in its ability to feel. When history writes her chapter beside William's, textbooks will record her titles and duties. But ordinary people will remember the sunlight on her hair in that video, the calm courage of her voice as she said she was fighting, and believed herself. For that moment, monarchy wasn't about ceremony. It was about truth. Perhaps that's the truest evolution of royalty in the modern world. Not spectacle but sincerity. Not ruling from above but walking among. Catherine's life has become a living lesson in resilience. The art of carrying unbearable expectations with quiet humanity. We mistake crowns for strength, yet the real weight lies in enduring heartbreak while millions watch, expecting grace. Catherine bears that weight daily, and somehow she still stands radiant beneath it. Maybe that's why her story resonates so deeply. Because somewhere, every one of us has learned what it means to keep smiling while holding pain close to the chest. And when she tells the world she's fighting, we believe her. Not because she's a princess, but because she's human.